Alright, how's it going, Stopde Nation? So, the March Masters have arrived here, and you can see it's a little bit different than it's been before, but it is super exciting for me because we have our first Arsenal one, and yes, he is the one that's going to take us the most to grind for, but a 98 overall central attacking midfielder Özil is like a wicked card to see. I'm super excited to try and grind for that one, but you can also see that there's a little bit of a change to how things are. There are only 2 tokens that you need to get them. In this thing, which is the FIFA Champion token. So we're going to take a little bit of time to explain for anybody who hasn't seen the blog, who maybe had some questions about it, to the best that I can, to break everything down. And as you can see, our 4 new masters that have arrived in the game. So let's go into the blog and let's go start looking at what's to come with this new iteration of attack mode. Alright, so here we are on the blog. I'm going to put a link to the description. I'm going to put a link to this in the description below, so you can take a look for it if you want. But we're going to kind of go through it. We're going to talk about the things that... There's some pretty cool changes. There's some things that I'm like, I don't know, this is going to be a little difficult. Like the first one here, that went from the season going to 15 days. So instead of 30, we now have 15 days to try and get there. So basically at the start, they talk about how a lot of this stuff came from, feedback and suggestions from different platforms, Reddit, Twitter, all of those things. So basically, the reason why they kind of made it 15 days is because a lot of people, it's a 98 overall player. That's kind of the thing. It's like, yeah, if you're going to get that 98 overall player, it's going to be a grind to try and get that player. You really got to, get to FIFA Champion. You got to get there a couple times, those kind of things. It's going to be worth it when you get to that player in the end, because you're really putting that grind to get it, and only people putting in that huge grind are going to get these 98 over players. So it's one for the grinders, this one for sure. FIFA attack mode, you can get high players other ways, but if you want these attack mode players, it is going to be straight grind all the time, 15 days to get there, and with each one you need to get 2. So basically, we'll talk about that in a little bit, how the tokens are going to work and everything like that, but that's the big change right there, 15 days. And I'm a little nervous about it, but at the same time, I do most of my grinding in like a 10-day period anyways, because usually for me it's like, oh, I got 10 days left, I should probably start grinding to FIFA Champion, and then I do. I'm not talking to people that's like, oh yeah, I was at like 2 million fans, and then 6 hours later I was at like 8 million. So it's kind of that thing like where it's once you realize you gotta grind, you sit down and do it. But if you miss one, and this is the big thing, is they are not going to be different for each one. So as before, if you missed last season, you didn't make the FIFA Champion, you didn't get Vidal, you did something wrong, whatever it was, you couldn't get him anymore. But this is different. If there's a player you really want to get, you just need to get FIFA Champion twice before his set expires. And the set's going to last for 45 days. So this Özil one is going to be around for 45 days. The Griezmann one is going to stick around forever. So moving on, claiming the rewards and how they as you go up. Before, you were noticing you're getting tokens as you go up. Now, but what happens, people were putting into the wrong set, and they were like putting in trade-ins, they were putting into there, and they thought they're going to get more players, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, now I can't get Vidal anymore. So what's happening instead is they're just giving you players. You get some gold players, it gets better as it goes along, fan favorite players, help you grind up, and all those different things as you move up. So the reward packs are only going to grant player items, as you see it says right there. At the end of the season, you get the end of the season tokens, and this is the big one. This is the one where a lot of confusion is kind of coming, so we're going to focus a lot on this. The end of season tokens, instead of getting all 88, you just get these ones that work for any. So you can bank them as much as you want, you can hang on to them, you can put them into sets, you can even use Joker tokens now. This is kind of like made the Joker tokens a little bit more, well, they're always pretty valuable, but like, a lot of decision making, I think, around those ones. But basically, when you finish the season, if you reach Pro 1, World Class 3, or World Class 2, you get a Pro token. World Class 1, Legendary 3, or Legendary 2, you get a World Class token. Legendary 1 or you get a Legendary token. FIFA Champion, you get a FIFA Champion token. And based on this, you can put them into the different sets. So you saw back at the beginning, you just needed 2 of them. So you need 2 for every single set to complete it, but you can always go down. So if you make FIFA Champion 1 and you make it into Legendary the next one, you can put them both into the Legendary set. So you don't have to make, if you don't want to get the FIFA Mobile Champion, you can put them into a lower set. Although it's usually good to keep hanging on to them, because as I said, you can hold them on for later. Each month, new players are going to come out. Maybe there's a better player that's going to come up in a little bit. But if you really don't want the FIFA Champion, you don't like their position, you don't like the player, I don't know, for whatever reason, you can go and you can pick the one right below it as well. So that's kind of the change with that. You can put them into any set. The FIFA Champion token also goes towards Griezmann. So basically what happens, from here on, starting in like 23 hours or 22 hours or whenever this video, depending on when you're watching this video, you're going to start the first 15-day season. And there's going to be 45 days that these first players are going to be up, the March players are going to be up for. They're going to last for 45 days. 2 seasons are going to go by in there. So in that season, at the end of that in April, another set of new players is going to come along. So at the end of April, like halfway through April basically, at that time you can have all these tokens saved up. You can have 3 tokens that you're going to get from 2 from April, 1 from that's backwards. 2 from March, 1 from April, and you can either put them both into the April player. If you really want the April player, you can put them into the March player, or you can put them into the Griezmann set. Now, the Griezmann one, obviously, you might want to wait a little bit on that one because you don't want to take away from your FIFA Mobile Master for this month if you really want the FIFA Mobile Champion. Or you can just keep kind of going one back. So the other thing, if you really want to finish Griezmann after the first one, then after the next 2, halfway through April, you can put them both into the March player, and then halfway through in May, you can put them both in the April player. You can always be like 1 behind. So you can always do that as well. Like if you're kind of like, oh, I really want to do Griezmann, but you got to take 1 away in order to do that, you can always kind of be 1 step behind. So you kind of like look at it kind of strategically. You could just use a Joker token if you really want to, which I might end up doing on the Griezmann one because we saw we picked that one up. Yeah, so that's basically it. So that's kind of the interesting thing about it. You can save them, you can put them into anything you want. You can always go lower, but if you miss a season, you still do have a chance to get that player. You just have to get it basically in 2 out of the 3 seasons that are going to come up because they're up for that 45-day period. So I'm interested to see how this goes because I think there's some really cool things in here. It kind of really changes a lot of things up. It definitely makes it a bit more of a grind. It makes it more of like a set where you can put different things in, different months, those kind of things. And I get it, like 15 days, that's going to be tough. That's going to be hard. That's going to be a lot of grinding. I got lots of things to do. We all got lots of things. But you know what? At the same time, it's kind of like it really is going to make that grind for that 98 over. It's going to make that 98 overall player really worth it when you get there in the end. But I still want to hear it. I want to hear your suggestions. I want to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any feedback, anything like that, put them in the comments below. I'll make sure to pass it on to EA. Let them know kind of what you're thinking. They'll probably stop by, read some of the comments in here. As long as it's like, not profanity EA, I'll pass it on and I'll let them know some constructive things that could maybe help make this better in the future, some ways to maybe increase it. I don't know if like changing the days to back up to 30 is going to work or whatever, but hey, if you have a suggestion, let me know. But I'm excited. Let's get into this grind. Let's get grinding for these players and let's see how it goes. Thank you for checking this out and stopping by. It has been a pleasure as always. Stopde.